Press Release Budget Vote Speech Budget Vote 24, Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries delivered by Hon. Senzeni Zokwana, MP, Minister Honourable Chairperson Honourable Ministers Honourable Deputy Minister Sfiso Buthelezi and other Deputy Ministers Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries MECs of Agriculture Members of Parliament distinguished guests ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all and I am honoured to be afforded this opportunity to present the budget vote for Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. Members, 2018 has been declared the year of Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela and Mama Nontsikalelo Albertina Sisulu, who would have celebrated 100 years. As we commemorate these great stalwarts of our liberation, let us also remember those we have lost, and may their spirit of sacrifice and service continue to inspire all that we are and all that we do. Overview. Honourable members, last year when I presented the budget vote, the country's economic growth expectation was bleak following the credit downgrade by 2 ratings agencies. Despite the fact that our sector's allocated budget was only R6,807 billion, 1% lower than the current year, it is worth noting that the sector has managed to achieve positive growth, pulling South Africa out of a technical recession. Role of the sector in the South African economy. Sustained growth. The South African economy grew by 1.3% in 2017, exceeding National Treasury's expectation of 1.0% growth announced during the national budget speech in February last year. The strengthening in economic activity in 2017 was partly driven by the agriculture, forestry and fisheries sectors recovering from one of the worst droughts in recent history. The sector's contribution to the GDP was 2.4% in 2017. The sectors have expanded for 4 consecutive quarters. The growth in the industry is attributed to the increase in the production of field crops, horticulture and animal products. We remain concerned over the impact of the ongoing drought affecting deciduous fruit, citrus, grape and wheat farming. The total volume of South African agriculture production for 2017 was estimated at 62.9 million tons compared to 50.8 million tonnes in 2016. This represents a 24% increase in production, which is attributed to the bumper summer crop harvest following good rainfalls during the season. To address the call by the President for an ambitious investment drive alongside the implementation of necessary economic reforms, our response is as follows. Chairperson. In South Africa, higher levels of agricultural productivity can be realized through substantial investments in agricultural research and development that also promotes equitable growth in the sector. In order to reform the agriculture sector, which is in the hands of the few, the re-engineering of conditional grants, specifically the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program (CASP) and Ilima Latsima, becomes imperative. I am sounding a clarion call that it can no longer be business as usual. We need to change the manner in which we manage the funds we have, in order to achieve inclusive economic growth that is developmental in approach and encompasses the ambitions of the youth of this country and our women in particular. As such, these programs will be managed by an entity of the department that is competent in all the pillars that the programs seek to address. Job creation. The President in his State of the Nation address emphasized the strategic role of the sector by indicating that agriculture has made the largest contribution, by a significant margin, to the improved growth of our economy in the second and third quarters of 2017. Aquaculture is an important growth sector and a priority for the country led by my department. It has demonstrated potential for growth over the past 10 years. Aquaculture offers a significant opportunity to contribute to food security and nutrition, rural development, job creation and the GDP of the country. There are currently 36 Operation Fakisa aquaculture projects, 26 of which are in production. At least 15 of these projects represent small-scale entities. The total investment committed to Operation Sfiso aquaculture projects is 690 million rands, or 690 million, of which government committed 227 million rands, or 227 million. The total jobs created across Operation Sfiso aquaculture projects in 2016-17 is 1,806 on 26 registered aquaculture farms. A total of 3,500 tons of aquatic animal products was produced from these aquaculture projects. The aquaculture bill presented to Cabinet recently will provide a legislative framework for sector development. It is envisaged that aquaculture production will increase to 20,000 tons, resulting in an additional 2,500 direct jobs and 15,000 jobs in the value chain by 2019, and an additional investment of 500 million rands, or 500 million. Further opportunities and livelihood alternatives in the fishing communities will be created through the continued implementation of the Expanded Public Works Program (EPWP) in coastal and rural communities under the Working for Fisheries program. The department aims to create 1,885 full-time jobs under this program. Partnerships with several coastal municipalities and investors have been formed to rehabilitate abandoned fish processing plants, in order to process fish for major retailers, which include Woolworths and Wise Foods in the United Kingdom. The beneficiaries of these will be the right holders of the community cooperatives who will eventually own the facilities. This is part of the implementation of the small-scale fisheries policy, which was approved by Cabinet. Poverty reduction, food security. South Africa has been self-sufficient in most agriculture products with the exception of wheat, poultry and red meat. Between 50% and 60% of the country's wheat requirement is imported, due to the fact that it is cheaper to import than to produce locally. We must therefore continue to look for solutions to reverse this unbalanced situation. Grains remain an important part of our food and nutrition security initiatives. Accordingly, the Agricultural Research Council (ARC) has developed and disseminated at least seven new grain cultivars for improved yields and productivity in South Africa. We hope our farmers will adopt these cultivars to increase our production of wheat and reduce the country's import bill. This will also promote greater affordability to allow more South Africans to consume bread and other wheat products. Our investments in research and development continue to yield good results for market access. I am happy to report that in February this year, the ARC launched a new table grape, Joy Bells, at the world's largest fruit exhibition in Berlin. This table grape variety was well received by producers and fruit traders in the global market. Already, more than 50,000 cartons of Joy Bells were sold across Europe and the UK. Producers and exporters from South Africa are expanding sales into other world markets. At least 200 hectares, and expanding, have been planted in South Africa to produce this table grape variety. Sector transformation. The President has indicated that agriculture presents one of the greatest opportunities to significantly grow our economy and create jobs. In addressing the developmental challenges in the sector and to achieve policy imperatives of National Development Plan (NDP), National Growth Path, NGP, Agricultural Policy Action Plan (APAP), revitalization of agriculture and value chains (RAAVC), and land reform, farmer training is crucial. Colleges of agriculture are best suited to offer practical accredited training for farmers, agricultural technicians, producers, processors, and farm managers. Colleges of Agriculture are playing a pivotal role in agricultural vocational education and training (ATVET) through a 3-year diploma qualification and the vocational skills training to farming communities, youth and women. Correctly elevating these colleges to become a national competency, as it is the case with TVET colleges, will help us ensure that we position them to strategically respond to the agri-skills shortage challenge in a more comprehensive and uniform manner in their management. On average, each college admits 400 full-time students per college and train 1,000 farmers per annum, and this relates to close to 1,000 potential entrant farmers and over 10,000 skills trainings per year. As government intensifies and accelerates the land redistribution program to address historical injustices, for my department this presents an opportunity to bring more producers into the agricultural sector, in order that the aspirations of our people may be realized. We need to be at the forefront of ensuring that we impart relevant vocational skills and formalize indigenous knowledge systems, which as part of our heritage, have been passed on from generation to generation. This year my department will be placing 1,000 unemployed agricultural graduates within the sector across the 9 provinces on a 2-year internship program, training them to be future agripreneurs. This initiative will contribute in addressing the unemployment challenge in the sector. In support of the sector skills development and transformation, the Agri-Bee and Fisheries Transformation Council will champion this initiative. Chairperson, I would like to acknowledge efforts by some of the transformed progressive companies in the private sector that endeavor to work with the department in achieving transformation in the fishing industry. On this note, I would like to announce that Sea Harvest, Brimstone and Mrs. Senzeni Fund of Old Mutual have committed to the establishment of a 100 million rands, or 100 million, Fisheries Development Fund, which will be formally launched soon. The objective for this development fund, honorable members, is to ensure that we empower small businesses entering the fishing industry in order to truly revitalize the ocean's economy. Government has invested considerably in agriculture to create a favorable and supportive environment for the farming community, particularly subsistence and smallholder producers. This includes the support provided by the Development Financial Institutions (DFI). However, this support has not translated into meaningful participation of black producers in the agricultural, forestry and fisheries value chains. As a result, these sectors remain untransformed 20 years into our democracy. This suggests that focus should be given not only to support smallholder production, but to increase the number of black commercial producers. Therefore, the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries staff, with the assistance of the DTI, the Land Bank, the National Empowerment Fund (NEF), and the IDC, developed a program to commercialize black producers in the agriculture, forestry and fisheries sectors. This is an incentive-based program to provide access for small, medium and large-scale black producers in these sectors. The Land Bank has been identified as the grant fund administrator, but together with commercial banks will provide the loan portion of the funds required to commercialize these producers. Honorable members, it is necessary to review the mandate of the Land Bank to ensure that it is developmental in approach, as it is one of the pillars that can drive the required economic reform. For small-scale producers that have a turnover of less than 500,000 rands, or 500,000 per annum, the development support will remain the responsibility of provincial departments of agriculture in partnership with the commodity associations. The department continues to support livestock farmers to develop and improve their livestock through dedicated programs in collaboration with the ARC. One such program is the Kid Kaunafatso Yadikomo, an animal improvement scheme dedicated to the development and improvement of livestock breeding and production among black farmers. Many participants in this scheme have benefited through better quality animals as a result of integrating science with production systems, which in turn, has enabled the farmers to get better prices at market for their animals. International partnerships. South Africa's agriculture exports increased to our $127.85 billion in 2017 from our $112.07 billion in 2016, boosted by growth in edible fruits, beverages, spirits as well as prepared fruits, vegetables and nuts. Imports of agriculture products increased by 21% in 2016, from our $76.10 billion in 2015 to our $91.81 billion. The import value of agriculture products decreased by 5% to our $86.93 billion in 2017, led by processed products such as prepared foods, meat, sugar and beverages. The South African agriculture products continue to benefit from the tripartite Free Trade Area Agreement of the Southern African Development Community, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa and the East African Community. As we open these markets, it will be our concerted effort to be deliberate in ensuring the participation of the historically disadvantaged producers. Impact of climate change on agriculture. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations has defined climate-smart agriculture, CSA, as production systems that sustainably increase productivity, resilience, adaptation, reduce greenhouse gases, mitigation, and enhances achievement of national food security and development goals. Climate-smart agriculture is part of the South African national flagship program being implemented through proven practical techniques and rolled out through existing departmental programs which promote sustainable agriculture based on the principles of minimum or zero tillage. Diseases. The outbreak of listeriosis has led to a decline in the prices of pork in the market, and these prices are lower than the input cost margins for the producers. This decline in prices has the potential to also affect the red meat and poultry sectors. In addressing the listeriosis matter, I visited the Tiger Brands facility in Polokwane in March this year and have noted the plan of action devised to address the outbreak. I have subsequently had constructive engagements with industry on this matter to mitigate the potential spread of the disease, which adversely impacts our local pork producers, specifically black smallholder farmers. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the DAF entities for their tireless work in advancing research and innovation to develop new vaccines that will address a number of diseases including new strains. During the current financial year, we intend to strengthen our biosecurity measures in order to increase our competitiveness as we seek to find new markets. Key successes. Fighting illegal, unregulated and unreported IUU fishing is one of the priorities of the department. Fisheries crime is not just a national challenge, but it is also a global scourge that undermines governments' poverty eradication efforts. The fact that fisheries crime is largely transnational in nature raises the need for organized global communities to work together in addressing illegal fishing. South Africa is a member of Interpol, and consequently, my department is an active member of the Interpol Fisheries Crime Working Group, whose fundamental objective is to enhance collaborative efforts for the purpose of combating fisheries crime, which includes poaching of abalone and other marine resources. My department has gained victory in pursuing Arnold Bengies, a convicted international fishing kingpin, following the order instructing to pay an amount of $67 million to South Africa, as the victim of his crimes in overfishing. The monies held by the trusts associated to him indicate how organized fisheries crime deprives the people of South Africa of economic benefits which could be used for the promotion of domestic coastal initiatives and compliance measures. Our continued efforts were supported by the judgment out of the Royal Court of Jersey, which on the 23rd of March 2018, dismissed the application to have the freezing order set aside. The department has now triggered diplomatic channels and legal remedies to have the funds held in the trusts returned to South Africa, and we are pursuing the balance of funds in fulfillment of the total sum of $67 million due to the country. The department is also deeply committed to fighting corruption domestically, within our department as well as with external entities opposed to our transformation objectives. Honourable Chairperson, international fish crime is a global challenge and goes beyond national jurisdictions and is multidisciplinary in nature. South Africa's coastline spans just nearly 400 km, presenting an opportunity for economic growth while also rendering us vulnerable in terms of our ability to cover the whole coast and curb fish crimes. This then becomes a national problem that transcends beyond a national department, as it involves other crimes such as human and drug trafficking, which degrades the moral fiber of our society. Yesterday, honourable members, during the early hours of the morning, an amount of 7 tons of confiscated abalone was stolen from our departmental stores by armed robbers reportedly in police uniform. The department's security services are working with the police on this matter. Chairperson, there has been much that has been in the public domain regarding the management of our marine living resources and in particular, abalone. It has become clear that we are not dealing with ordinary criminals, but organized syndicates that at times are aided by our very own officials and our own security apparatus. It is the reason why I have taken a decision that never again will the department stores be used to store any confiscated form of fish. In order to reduce the risk of illicit activity by officials within my department, I am currently engaging with the Departments of Justice, Police and Environmental Affairs to explore a holistic and comprehensive national strategy to combat the scourge of abuse of the wealth of this country in order to channel the proceeds of this precious resource to the national coffers, where it is needed the most. Furthermore, my department will never sell any confiscated fish or fish products in the future. Our responsibility and effort will be focused on ensuring that we keep the fish in the sea and we regulate those that fish in our waters. Over and above this, we are currently engaging with the Department of Defense for the appointment of military veterans to provide compliance and surveillance coverage across our coastline. The department remains committed to, and will deal decisively with any and all allegations of corrupt activities. The department will take equal measures both internally and externally in rooting out those who perpetrate acts of corruption. Concluding remarks. In conclusion, Chairperson and honourable members, I would like to thank Deputy Minister Sfiso Buthelezi, who brings with him a wealth of experience which will assist the department to reposition itself as a catalyst for economic transformation. I would like to share some words of optimism from Ms. Brenda Shope, and I quote, "My grandfather used to say, that once in your life you will need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman and a preacher, but every day 3 times a day you need a farmer." Close quote. Hun. Chairperson, it is a privilege for me to present Budget Vote 24, which currently stands at 7,165,000,000 rand, or 7.165 billion. I therefore commend this budget to the House. Thank you. More from Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. More on Agriculture Budget, National Budget Vote Speech. Budget Vote 24, Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, delivered by Hon. Senzeni Zokwana, MP, Minister. Honourable Chairperson.